Welcome back to the Health and Wellbeing Magazine by Foyt's podcast. Today I'm joined by Nicholas Walton Cole from Element Nutrition, and we're diving into a topic that doesn't always get the attention it deserves: men's hormones. Nick's journey is truly inspiring. After living with an autoimmune condition for over 25 years and spending 12 years as a private banker, he shifted his focus entirely to health, nutrition, and integrative medicine. Now training as a naturopathic doctor, he has a unique gift for breaking down complex health topics into simple, actionable advice. We'll be talking about how men's hormones impacts overall well-being and what we can do to support them naturally. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for the introduction.
It's always a
Um,
pleasure.
yeah.
So I've got a couple of questions for you. My first one is, what are the signs of hormonal imbalance in men?
Okay. So the typical signs of hormonal imbalance in men might be when we look at low testosterone, for instance, we could see a low libido, so a decreased sex drive. We could see fatigue. Just last week, I was approached by a professional, and he said after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he just felt asleep. He just couldn't operate after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Um, in addition to that, you can have a loss of strength, loss of muscle, brain fog, and also decreased motivation as well. So all of these things could point to some type of hormonal imbalance, and in particularly maybe low testosterone.
Oh, that's really interesting. Does it normally sort of kick off at a like at a certain age, or could it happen at any time?
Well, that's a good question, and uh, we as we reach a certain age, so as particularly as we sort of go towards the age of 35, 40, our hormone levels start to decline annually. They actually start to decline a lot earlier than that, and typically, we might be looking at 1% per year. Um, in addition to that, we've also got the problem of collectively, as men, we are actually, when we look at our previous testosterone levels compared to past generations, they're actually declining 1% year on year as well. So we've got this compounded problem. But yes, particularly as we get over the age of 40, towards the age of 45, that's when we might actually start to see some significant symptoms of low testosterone. And I think it's estimated that something like 20 to 30% of men are actually testosterone deficient over that age. So it's becoming somewhat of an epidemic.
Sure, it's really interesting because I mean, at the moment, like perimenopause, and menopause, and postmenopause, all those sort of things like hot topics, but they don't really speak about the men's side of things. So, how do
Mm.
hormones, lifestyle, and mental health all connect?
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit of a taboo subject, really, isn't it? I think often when people talk about testosterone, they just think of steroids, and it's like some gym bro sort of subject, and it's just very grey. There doesn't seem to be sort of much out there in terms of advice from doctors, or typically depending on your GP, it might not be something that you could actually approach them with. Um, yeah. Um, so how does this build into lifestyle and sort of our mental health as well? How do the two actually connect? Um, okay, so we live in an increasingly stressful world. We are connected to our mobile phones for a good portion of the day. We are on work laptops. We are constantly absorbing this blue light, which affects our cortisol levels, which create hormone imbalances. Um, we live on processed foods. Processed foods are nutrient depleted, and, um, and really, all of these things combined, in addition to much more stress these days as well from our workplace, from our busy lives. All of these things combine, and then they affect our hormone production. Um, so just to give you a for instance, if we're not getting the nutrients that we need from our food, so often cholesterol gets a bad name, but that's actually the raw ingredient for our hormones. Without cholesterol, you can't make testosterone. Um, so, and it increasingly, and probably for the last 50 years, we've been pushed away from fats and actually pushed towards low fat, high carbohydrate, high sugar diets, which are inflammatory in nature and actually affect our hormone levels as a result through a nutrient deficiency or inflammation within our systems that's actually affecting our hormone levels.
That's really interesting. So, I mean, as a woman, if I need to go and check out my hormone levels, I suppose you get those like at home tests, or you can
Yeah,
go to your GP and they'll be able to do some blood tests and say, okay, yes, you're perimenopause or whatever place you're at.
yeah.
But for men, like what happens with men if they need to get their hormone levels checked?
It's a good question, yeah. And I think at the minute we just we don't actually have the capabilities at the moment to actually look after these men properly. So I'll give you a common scenario. Somebody believes they are testosterone deficient. Let's just say, as an example, somebody who came to me, they said after 2 o'clock, I couldn't, get my head off my desk. I was incredibly tired. And what they do immediately is they perhaps go to a testosterone clinic. There are lots of them online. They are easily accessible. It's without the embarrassment of going to your GP as well, because at the moment, like I said, it just seems to be a sort of a very, very sort of niche or niche subject that many GPs perhaps can't actually speak about or are unwilling to. So they'll go to a testosterone clinic. The testosterone clinic will often test for just testosterone levels. So they'll be checking if your testosterone is low. Okay, so if it's low, they can prescribe testosterone, and that's it. It's very binary in its nature with most testosterone clinics. What that means, however, is that somebody who has deficient levels could then be boosted up to very, very high levels, and it could be masking an underlying problem with that person. So they may not be converting that raw ingredient into testosterone properly. So the cholesterol that I mentioned earlier, there may be ways of actually dealing with that naturally. If we give them that testosterone, if they're given testosterone by that testosterone replacement therapy clinic, when it's added to their bodies, what might be happening is because of their hormone pathways, they might actually be converting that into other, may perhaps unwanted hormones at the level it's converting to. So, and these are, I guess, some of the risks of testosterone replacement therapy, and some of the risks that might actually come up could be you may start to aromatize that testosterone into estrogen, which can cause gynecomastia, so breasts in a man. It could cause excess DHT, which could cause hair loss, say for instance, and it could actually it could create too many blood cells, so it could actually thicken the blood of some of the people who are taking testosterone replacement therapy. And sometimes it gets as drastic as people who are taking testosterone replacement therapy, they actually have to give blood just because they've got too many blood cells and their blood just gets too thick, which causes the risk of a heart attack. So there are lots of problems associated with testosterone replacement therapy if it's not applied correctly. Um, and I guess one of the one huge concern is that when you are on the testosterone replacement therapy, um, it will shut down your natural production of testosterone through your testes. So you'll no longer be able to produce testosterone naturally, and so you're stuck. You are stuck. You're a repeat customer of the clinic for life, whether you like it or not. So those are the main things, really. It's the clinic. The clinic would typically deal directly with the man who is testosterone deficient, and sometimes it just lacks that oversight of somebody actually just sort of stepping in, looking at the details, and actually taking a non-binary approach and saying, "You're low on testosterone, but do we actually need it? And if we take it, is it going to be converted in the right way?"
So you mentioned quite a few risks of testosterone replacement therapy. So why would men still choose to, is that to choose to go for it? Is it because they're unaware of these risks, or are there pros and cons?
Yeah, I mean, so there are definitely pros. If you are testosterone deficient and you increase your testosterone levels, it could cure a lot of the problems that you are facing. Your sex drive could return. You could get your motivation back. You would be able to you certainly be able to gain muscle as long as that testosterone was being used by your body in the right way. Um, so yeah, I think it's that, and nobody wants to get old. I
I totally
don't
get
think
that.
they do. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think maybe we're becoming increasingly vain as well, to a certain extent. Nobody wants to get old. Everybody wants to be a superhero at the age of 50 or 60, especially driven professionals. They don't want to put down, their bike, they don't want to stop running triathlons. It's so sometimes this can actually be a shortcut to being able to extend their health span, but it needs to be done in the right way.
Absolutely. That's really interesting. So what would a natural hormone health plan look like?
Okay, so I mean, I guess looking across the board without looking at an individual client, which would involve us really looking at the steroid pathways for that client, looking at the hormone pathways, seeing how they were actually converting cholesterol into testosterone at the moment or other hormones, making sure that we'd optimize those pathways through supplementation and nutrition. Um, um, if we were to just look at a generic approach for everybody, then I guess some of the main points would be, first of all, vitamin D. Vitamin D helps to regulate our hormones and is itself very similar to a hormone. Vitamin D is free. Um, Everybody can get it. We just walk outside, make sure that you go in the sun when the sun is high in the sky. That's when you'll absorb the most UVB light, um, which will actually help produce vitamin D3 from the cholesterol on your skin. So vitamin D is an important one. Um, in addition to that, exercise. So doing the right type of exercise is important. Do too much, run a triathlon, exercise 6 or 7 times a week, and it actually might have a counterproductive effect because what you might be doing is raising cortisol levels, and cortisol sort of steals away from testosterone if you don't manage it and you have too much. Um, and on the subject of cortisol, try to reduce stress as much as possible. So When we are stressed for a long time, it's called chronic stress. So that just means that it is going on for a long time. Now, this happens more often in today's world, whereby we're all very extremely busy in the office and at home. And what it will do is it will increase your cortisol levels, which again, they will take away from the pathway that could have been producing testosterone and keeping a nice natural balance on your hormones.
That's really interesting. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing such valuable insights on men's hormones and overall health. And I hope everyone else has found this conversation as eye-opening as I did. I'm going to have a chat with my husband now. If you'd like to learn more about Nick's work or Element Nutrition, be sure to check out his website. It's elementnutrition.org, or you can find him on LinkedIn. And as always, if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend as it helps us reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in and see you next time.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dan.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.